guys, it's your host, Avery Carl with the Short Term Shop, and I'm really excited to dive into the Broken Bow market with you guys. We've got 10 episodes on everything you need to know about investing in short-term rentals in Broken Bow. A couple notes that I want to give you guys before we get started. Any up-to-date purchase prices or income numbers on this market you can find on our website, theshorttermshop.com. And if you're ready to buy with us in any of the 20 markets that we work in, not just Broken Bow, if you want to work with one of our agents in any of those markets, you can email us at agents@theshorttermshop.com. Be sure to follow us on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook at The Short Term Shop. And of course, join our Facebook group. It's called Short Term Rental, Long Term Wealth. It's just me and 60,000 of my closest friends in there talking about short-term rentals all day, every day. Again, if you need anything from us, you can email us at agents@theshorttermshop.com. Let's dive into Broken Bow. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Short Term Show special episode series, this time on Broken Bow. Today, we're going to be talking about expenses. So the expenses that come along with running a short-term rental in Broken Bow. So we've got a cool panel of folks here to help us with that. First, we've got Kathy, who you're familiar with already, but Kathy, go ahead and introduce yourself again.
I'm Kathy Craig. I'm the STS agent in Broken Bow. I'm super excited about this episode because we have the king and queen of Broken Bow with us. So I am super excited about this one.
The king and queen of Broken Bow, guys. So this is one you want to listen to. So we have Bobby and Becky Kelly. Guys, do you want to introduce yourselves, king and queen of Broken Bow, Oklahoma?
Well, I don't know that we're the king and queen, but we'll
But we convinced Kathy of that. Kathy thinks that.
Right. So I'm Bobby Kelly. I have a Farm Bureau insurance office, been the agent there for 28 years, and Becky's worked right along my side most of those years, except when we had little bitty babies and they were running around the house, but they're all grown up now. So we insure a lot of cabins in the Broken Bow area and have been doing it for a long time. So we think we know a little bit about that market, so we'll just share what we know with y'all today, I guess. Go ahead, Becky.
And I'm Becky Kelly and married to Bobby Kelly, and we both work in insurance, and we just have built with the market. First couple of people that had a rental cabin walked in our office needing to get insurance, and we had to figure out what was going on. So,
okay. So you guys own a few properties here too, right?
yes.
Awesome. How many?
8.
Yeah, about 8.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of them.
Yeah, 8 nightly rentals, and we have 4 long-term rentals.
Okay, so you guys know what you're doing. You're pros.
I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah.
Out as we go.
I'll
Okay.
agree, you know.
All right. So this episode, sorry, I'm going to try not to clear my throat too much. I'm getting over being sick. So this episode is going to be mostly on the expenses associated with running a short-term rental in this market. So we'll start with some of the basic stuff that you're going to have, expenses you're going to have with any short-term rental. So let's talk about like your electric bill. Is there anything, I feel like electric bills are pretty straightforward in most cases. Is there anything weird or different about this market than, owning a house anywhere else in terms of electric?
I don't think so. I mean, electric's just electric. People complain about electric being high sometimes they don't, So your big, always going to be July and August probably around here. And in the winter, probably like January and February are probably the most expensive electric bills. So other than that, it's just kind of basic, I guess.
I think too, because the cabins are built in our rural area, not in city limits. A company PSO is the electric for in city limits. So Choctaw Electric is for the rural areas, and everybody tends to think that runs higher than what people pay in city limits. And it seems to be, but there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Gotcha. So you guys, like most of the Southeast, have electric heat and electric cooling. So when it's really, really hot outside or really, really cold outside, those are going to be your high electric bill months, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So everything pretty straightforward about electric. Kathy, you got anything to add to electric? It's kind of a boring subject.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably averaging in the not high months, depending on the size of the cabin, anywhere from $70 to $100 a month. And then in the high months, depending on where it is and what it is and how many windows you have, it's maybe a couple $100 a month. They're not talking $700, $800, $900 a month. It's not crazy.
No.
All right. Gotcha. All right. So let's move on to something else boring. So are there gas bills in this market, or is everything pretty typically electric?
Well, it's pretty typically electric besides your propane. I mean, there's not gas in the Hochatown area. It's all going to be propane. So, it's a little bit different as far as that goes. And there's a lot of propane stoves, I guess you would say,
in the fireplace.
In fireplaces.
Most have propane. Most cabins are electric and propane combination.
Okay. So you would have mostly electric appliances and then like a propane tank out back that powers the fireplaces?
I would say mainly. Now, some people have propane stove inside. And some people have washer and dryer propane, but that's very rare. It's mostly electric. And
there's quite a few propane stoves because a lot of people probably our main market that where that wants the cabins here is the DFW area. And a lot of them are used to cooking on a gas range. So they get a propane range put in their cabin, and a lot of the people that come here and rent the cabins are from that area, so they like that. But there's a lot of electric ranges too, so a little bit of both.
Okay, and to get a propane tank filled a year, what's that, like $500 a year?
No, it's more than that.
More than that?
Yeah,
I go through a little bit more propane than that, depending on what what you've got on it in the house, So I would say for 500, I'd say to get it filled, 500. You might have to fill it a little bit more than once, depending on how much you're using it. So
Okay.
Yeah, $500 to $700 a year is, I think, about what they're running, depending on the size of the cabin. And they're typically buried. They bury the propane tanks. Not all of them are, because in the older cabins are not, but for a while now they bury the propane tank. So it's not that we played on it like it was a horse.
Yeah,
but
and it's so ugly outside. We've got a few cabins in another market that they have. That's all there is the propane tanks just sitting out there, and it's ugly.
A lot of people.
There's a lot buried, and then a lot of them got to where they do the smaller propane tank. Just a small one up closer to the house, because the rules have changed where the smaller ones, they can get them within 10 feet of the house. So,
And when a lot of cabins now have the instant hot water heater that has to have propane. And so they're more propane because that's how they have hot water for showers or what. No, we have one that way. Right. So we go through more that one.
All right. So propane's also pretty straightforward and boring. So let's talk about cable and internet. Can you pretty much get like normal internet service, Wi-Fi out here? You have to do Starlink and stuff. Why are you giggling, Kathy?
Well, because it's Broken Bow. So there's only one game in town, man. So the phone company is the internet company. And that's pretty much all we have right now. We're kind of hoping, and I don't know, the Kellys will know more. When the casino comes in, I heard AT&T was supposed to come in. I don't know if that's actually happening or not, but right now it is Pine Telephone, and that is who your internet service is through, unless you do a satellite. But pretty much it's Pine Telephone.
That's right.
And is that high speed or is it like slow? What are we looking at?
Well, we don't have. A long time ago there were complaints, but they have upgraded over time, and I think it's pretty normal these days. Probably a little slower sometimes.
It's normal for what we're used to. Though.
Yeah, normal for what we're used to.
It's not what DFW city people are used to. Really.
Gotcha.
It's a little different.
Yeah, I do hear people that from, Dallas. And so when if I'm working, it's not any slower than it's fine. So we don't have a lot of complaints from people that come up there and work during the week. So it's not horrible. But it's certainly not, the fastest you're ever going to get.
Right. So you can like stream Netflix or something.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So it's good enough.
We have to sit at our house and we've got all of our TVs on that, and the kids have got video games and all that stuff that go all the time. So we don't have any problems. So, so it's
all
fine.
right. Cool. Okay. And let's see here. What else? So we've got cable. I mean, do people really do cable that much? Like in my short-term rentals, we just kind of sign up for the streaming stuff and let them do that.
Kind of pretty much went to that. I mean, just like you said, pretty much really going to just all the streaming stuff. So, and there's some
people still do direct.
Yeah, some still do direct, a few, but most of it's all going to streaming these days.
All right. So we'll move on to some more fun stuff. Maybe you guys' wheelhouse. So what does insurance look like around here? Is there anything that makes insurance like extraordinarily high? Like I live in Florida, so we've got some major insurance things going on. Or is it, what are we typically looking at for insurance around here?
It's Oklahoma. Just like you say, it's Florida. This is Oklahoma.
So it's kind of
storm, tornado alley. So you got to factor that
I didn't think about that. Did not think about that.
Exactly. And really down here, we don't get the tornadoes like a lot of the state do because we're kind of different. We kind of sit in the mountains, kind of like we're real close to Arkansas, and it sits right here on the edge of the mountains. But still, the cost of it just goes throughout the state. It's kind of, it's going to be statewide.
They spread the cost.
And that does make insurance in Oklahoma high. Mm-hmm. So between the tornadoes and, then there's some hailstorms too that cause a lot. So we get a lot of that cost spread out to us, and we don't really get much of either one down here in this area.
Gotcha.
So we run about, it's averaging 0.8 to 1% of the sales price is what it's typically running per year, depending on what they get and what they don't yet. Bobby and Becky are great about making sure that people get the insurance they need for their short term. And, we don't get a lot of tornadoes, but last year, right about this time, I was hunkering down in a underground bunker. Remember the tornado that came through last year? Yes. And got somebody up on the mountain, killed somebody. So, it does happen, not that often, but it does happen. So they have to.
The only time like that with the tornado, and it was like a real narrow spot, kind of like this one was 2003. I think May of 2003 was the other one that would probably compare to the one we had about a year ago. Right. And that hit Idabel pretty hard and hit up north in the Pickens area pretty hard. This one, so.
It can happen.
It skips Broken Bow kind of because of where it is, and it's kind of in a little dip, and it can't get through the mountains or whatever. It won't go too much when it's hilly. It's got to have a straight path.
Right. So, we get protected from a lot of weather because of the mountain range,
and water. When it breaks up.
Yeah, and we've got rivers to the south and mountains all to the north, and that really protects us a lot in this area. Sure does.
But Oklahoma, historically, this is the worst storm loss year Oklahoma has had in history. So, dollar wise, because
that's mainly Tulsa, because we had a storm in Tulsa on the 18th of June that took out. Took out a lot.
There was a bad one in Shawnee and a bad one around Blanchard that is multi-million.
But it's mostly from hail.
Mostly hail.
A lot of hail.
It's a lot of hail.
So but the southeast corner, I would say down here where our cabin industry is. Now I'm a little biased here, but I think we have the best weather in the state.
Well, we do.
We do.
It's not. I mean, that's a fact.
It's
a fact. Our company, our insurance company, wishes the rest of the state had our weather.
Yeah. So
okay.
Really
all
good.
right. So on to another really fun topic. Let's talk about taxes, both property taxes and taxes that you have to pay, for running a short-term rental. Which one do you guys want to start with?
Not me.
Okay. So property taxes are running at about, again, it's about the same as 0.8 to 1% of the appraised value of the home, of the whatever you pay for it. The county has been running behind on all that stuff, so things are just now starting to kind of catch up a little bit. It'll be a while before they get to all of it. They're not known for their speed. The taxes for running the short terms is interesting. There is no fee currently. You don't have to sign up for anything. You don't have to have a permit. Nothing is happening with that yet, although I'm sure it probably will. But last year, when they incorporated Hochatown, which we talked a little bit about in another episode, and the area that Hochatown is in the Broken Bow area, because everybody remember, it's all still Broken Bow addresses. But Hochatown is kind of cut out right in the middle by the 259A area. It's 7% if it's not Hochatown. It's 14% if it's Hochatown. So 14% is more of a national average. Like it's more, that's kind of an average for a lot of places. So there's a section of, like, you could be right outside Hochatown, but still kind of in the middle, like we talked about, and have 7% less in what you have to charge. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting little thing that's going on.
Yeah, because that's half. That's a big separation.
Yeah. Now I think Broken Bow is probably going to catch up and increase theirs. But right now, that's what's going on.
Interesting. And do you have to pay state sales tax? Is that just the local tax, or
that's everything included?
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's not terrible. It's pretty in line with other places. Okay, so we've covered taxes, we've covered insurance. So let's talk about the actual expenses related to the running of it. I mean, I guess all of these are related to the running of it, but so like maintenance and cleaners. Let's start with cleaners. So what do you guys see your cleaners or most cleaners charging for properties? And if you want to just give like an example of what you pay for different sizes of stuff that you own, that's totally cool.
Okay. Hey, can I add one more thing to that tax deal before we move on?
Yes.
More about taxes.
Well, no, what Kathy said was, I mean, she knows a lot more about that than me, but I just want to say the comparison from us, and our biggest market is the Texas market that buys our cabins here. And our taxes, our property taxes are going to be lower than those that are in Texas, though, from what I've noticed from buying a home in Texas, quite a bit lower because they don't have the state income tax. So where we have a state income tax where they don't have it, they tend to make it up on their property taxes.
Yes.
Where in our property taxes are a lot lower because of that.
So Texas is approximately 3%, depending on where you are. So if you're looking at a $600,000 cabin, you're at $18,000 a year for Texas and $6,000 a year for Oklahoma. And the income tax does not make up that difference. Income tax isn't that much. So you're still saving, if you're not really apples to apples, but there is a big difference. You can save you may pay a little bit more for a cabin here, but you're going to save a bunch of money on taxes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
When I was still living in Texas and I had 20, just as a reference for people, 23 or 24 long-term, short-term rentals in Oklahoma, all of my taxes, property taxes in Oklahoma, were still less than the one house in Texas combined.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big difference.
Big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty crazy.
Okay. Now I forgot what your question was.
Cleaners. What do we see for cleaning charges?
Oh, yeah, big.
Well, we have a 3-bedroom cabin, and it also has a loft with bunk beds, and it's a game room / bunk room. So, you could call it 4-bedroom, but we get that for around 200 clean. Okay.
4-bedroom, 200 clean. That's actually really affordable.
Yeah. Cause I've been in the farm shop and look, when I look on the, on your Facebook one and I compare what other people are saying, and a lot of times ours seems a little lower.
Yeah. And our Florida 4-bedroom, we're paying, I think, $450 a clean.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's encouraging that the cleaning fees aren't terrible. What about maintenance? So, do you guys have like a handyman that you might call to come out to look at stuff? Like, what do they charge per call? And then also moving, a little further on from that, is there anything, what is your biggest maintenance expense? But sorry, that's too many questions at once. Handyman first and then maintenance expenses.
Good. That's a good question. So some people use property management. So if you use property management, a lot of times they have a maintenance guy that's included in your property management fee that they take from you. So, but then you self-manage and you have to have handyman. It really kind of like if it's more of a handyman type job, it could be $45, $55 a service call. But if you need like a plumber or electrician, someone licensed to do something, it could be used to be about 75, but now it's about 150.
All right, that's not too bad. And so what would you say is your biggest maintenance expense annually over your 12 properties? Because they're all going to require maintenance.
Well, we've got a lot of expense right now just because we've had several of them for a while and we're redoing a lot of stuff on them. So, keeping up a lot of the cabins have a lot of wood, a lot of decks, a lot of porches, things like that. There's a lot of expense that, if you don't treat those right and paint them right and stuff, we're redoing a deck on one right now, complete redo. And then we've had, several of those little things like that.
I'll say air conditioning, heat and air. Heat and air is a big expense. As long as everything goes okay. But this year, how many did we replace? 5?
Yeah, 5 units. But that's including our house. And really 3 in the cabins. We replaced, had to put in 3 new units, but they were older units and been around for a while. But air conditioning, when it gets air conditioning season, man, it just crazy, Yeah. So
I hear that. So we don't have any abnormal maintenance expenses like snow removal or pumping, not septics, like replacing well pumps and things like that.
No.
It's all pretty basic.
And there's really not even any yard maintenance. I mean, you might get your leaves blown every once in a while, but there's not really any grass to mow. You might have to
mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. Get a weed whacker at it or something, but there's not like, any of that. There's no snow removal. And they're right. Probably the biggest expense. And when we say an AC unit's been around for a while, these AC units can be 20 years old. Oklahoma things tend to last a while here. But people that you have to maintain if you have a wood cabin, which most of them are, you have to maintain the outside. So there's a guy that does soft washing. People have it washed every year, wash their deck, and it's $250 or $300, and then every few years you can have it, re-shellacked or recoated or whatever, if you want to. But as long as you maintain it, it'll last a really long time. We don't have the humidity that other places do. Although if you ask people in Oklahoma, they think it's humid, but it's not compared to Florida or Houston. So we don't have the stuff that just rots. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the salt on the roads. We don't have any of that other stuff. So things tend to last a while.
All right. And what about like pest preventative maintenance? What does that typically run?
Probably
about
$85 to $100 a quarter on a cabin. So every 3 months, they come spray.
It does depend on the size. It's the size of it, but there's a big company here that most everybody uses. There's a few more, but typically it's about starts at 85, and then it can go up some according to the size of the cabin.
Okay, got it.
Quarter.
Okay, so this episode is like pretty straightforward, and I didn't really expect there to be anything crazy in this market because it's not on the coast, it's not in a snowy area. Is there anything expense-wise here that we haven't talked about that you think our listeners could benefit from hearing before they buy something? We've done taxes, we've done insurance, cleaning, maintenance. Water bills. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of stuff that people have to pay for. I mean, you can do a bunch of stuff if you want, especially, first time buyers, or if they're buying something from somebody else, they want to go in and do stuff and paint and do all that stuff and add amenities. But just for ongoing maintenance, it's not horrible. I do always suggest to everybody, no matter what kind of real estate you're buying, that you service your units every year, and your AC units, you service that stuff every year. You can't just let stuff go and expect it to last, right? So every spring you want to have your ACs maintenance, because you don't want to get to June and find out you've got a problem. So exactly. As long as you are maintaining your stuff, you should be totally fine.
Right. I would say overall, just because we're like a boom town, a lot's happened in a short amount of time. And so there's growing pains. and not everything's going to get done at the snap of a finger like you can get it done in a large city. So there's a little bit of a wait time if you have to get a service call. You know, you need to, if you're going to buy this property, you need to check into maintenance people, cleaning people. You need to know some local people that know how to help you get in that circle of who to contact. And if you know who to contact, and you need to contact the correct people too. You don't want to contact people who's just going to create a mess for you. So it's good to check references and who you're calling.
Absolutely. I totally agree with all that. So if there's nothing else on expenses, then we will go ahead and wrap up. Guys, if you're ready to buy a short-term rental in Broken Bow with Kathy, you can email us at agents@theshorttermshop.com. We'll get you hooked up with her. And if you just want to learn more about short-term rental investing, then we've got a few ways you can do that. You can join our public Facebook group, same title as my book behind me, Short-Term Rental, Long-Term Wealth. We've got 65,000 people in there sharing best practices and info on investing in short-term rentals. Or every Thursday, we have a live Q&A call where you can ask us any of your burning questions about short-term rental investing. You can sign up for that at strquestions.com. Thanks, guys.